is public speaking important? So I will just give you a broad answer. You have said that it's important because we need to speak confidently, we need to command our room, we need to look smart while speaking, we need to be trusted, we need to give a good sense of credibility. Because an individual who is confident, we tend to believe that person more than someone who is not confident, especially if you grow up in the western part of this world, where your ability to express yourself, you have an edge over an individual who cannot express your thoughts, who cannot express your feelings or your emotion. I'm sure you might have seen people who probably fall into trouble, and you ask them what really happened, and you will not understand. You will not understand. And the other person will narrate everything, give a false picture of what happened. And the other person, you cannot understand. I face that a lot. I work in the construction industry. And when I see some people inside, like, they can't just express themselves. They will come and speechless. Just speechless. But it's not a good omen. We need to build our public speaking skill. And today's masterclass, I try to focus it to suit both entrepreneurs, professionals, and also public servants. Because a way an entrepreneur should speak should be a little bit different from the way a professional should speak. Yes, you asked why?
I said,
Yes, really. I'll give you this excerpt I wrote. Like, the communication mindset of an entrepreneur is simply to share ideas, innovation, and tell your story. Because if you share your story and your story sells, definitely your products will sell. The ability to tell your story. How? Why? How did it start? Why did this happen? And if you can do that confidently, I'm telling you, your product will sell. That's the mindset, the communication mindset of an entrepreneur. I will give us example later about that. But for a professional, the communication mindset should be to inspire, to motivate your team members, give feedback and progress reports of your organization. That's the communication mindset of a professional. In a setting like this or a corporate organization, your ability to inspire your team, to motivate, to collaborate, handling projects. If you can't communicate effectively the goals of the organization, you can't motivate your members, and you will not be able to achieve any target results. So you see how it's different from an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs, you just need to sell yourself, sell your story. And you now need to know how to channel that communication mindset wherever field you are. Then lastly, for a public servant, the communication mindset is to inform the general audience or the public about current government policies and government action plan, current trend. Like a civil servant who work in the federal inland revenue, for instance now, your ability to inform the public about the current tax laws, about the current trend when it comes to developing your business in that particular state should be the communication mindset you should have. And you see why that is different from an entrepreneurs and different from professionals. So arming yourself with this knowledge will tell you how you need to communicate whenever you find yourself in any target audience. So what we stand to gain from today's masterclass, I just have 3 highlights, which was on the flyer. Number 1, we just need to learn how to build our confidence, master the act of public speaking. Is there a way a person should speak? There is an act, there is a way. And if we learn that, we can be able to speak confidently. Great speakers, there's a way a man will come into this room, and within 5 minutes, everybody seems interested in what he's saying. And another individual comes in. You feel bored. You just keep working on your phone. There's a way a speaker should speak. There is a way an entrepreneur should speak. There's a way a professional should speak. And there's a way a public servant should speak. And finally, we'll talk about storytelling for personal branding and professional branding. Stories. If your story do not sell, like your product will not sell. I'll give you an instant. I started this class. I didn't tell you about myself, but okay, let me introduce myself now. If I talk about my personal branding now, the best way I'm going to introduce myself, or like for instance now, good evening everyone. My name is John Chukwemeka. I'm a transformation speaker, on purpose, self-discovery, and life fulfillment. I'm also the founder of the Best Version Forum. This is a global movement that seeks to inspire individuals to become the best versions of themselves holistically, mentally, financially, psychologically, even your mental well-being. In the last decade, I've been inspired by three legends who seems to inspire my work to become the best version of myself. The likes of Dr. Mars Morrow, Fela Duritoye, and also Dr. King Martin Luther King Jr. In the next 10 to 20 years, I don't just want to build individuals. Rather, I want to inspire communities. I want to build societies, structures. I want to create systems where I can inspire people to have this sense of hope, this sense of purpose, and this sense of a better life. I've achieved numerous awards in the last 5 years. The chief of them, which I acquired in the last 2 months, was I received the President Distinguished Award, which is the highest educational award any club president could achieve in Toastmasters International. And I did that with Penang. So instantly, if you hear me talk about that, what comes to your mind? Let me ask Miriam. What do you think about me? Meeting me for the first time and you hear this about me. What do you think?
You're innovative.
I'm innovative.
You're sharing your
Yeah.
ideas. You are selling yourself.
Selling myself.
Yeah.
Do I look confident?
Yes, you're confident.
Am I clear about myself?
Clear.
Okay. And will you believe me?
Yes.
Yes. Why? Because I've been able to tell you, I not just tell you about myself, I told you, I give you an idea within 1 to 2 minutes about what I've done, where I'm coming from, and where I'm going.
You sounded
So,
very brilliant.
very brilliant. Thank you. So, I was able to collate that into one storyline. Yeah. And your ability to do that as an entrepreneur is to tell your story. How did you start your journey? Within 1 to 2 minutes, will give you an edge. For example, now for my will I call her my very good friend and mentor. Okay, I know she's going into business now, and I know that you've been in the banking sector for a while now. So if I ask you to tell me what do you do, like I wouldn't expect you to just tell me, oh, I'm into catering, like, or what would you call that? What are you into if I ask you?
Do you want me to start from my background or just what I do currently?
Yeah, what you do currently.
Okay, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm
Uh,
trying to build my is it culinary brand?
Brands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. You just told me that, but that doesn't sound inspiring enough for me to want to buy into what you're doing. I would have expected you, like, for instance, now to create a story. Oh, I've been in the banking sector for in the last 10 years, for
That's why I
instance.
said,
Okay, should I?
start from my,
Okay, from the, yes,
background?
yes. No, we'll come into that.
Okay.
I'm giving for an instance now. If you give us a story that I've been in the banking sector in the last 10 years, working for the government, but there was a point in my life I stumbled into a restaurant and I was nostalgic about the manner of food served there. And that was where the passion to start my own culinary service came into being. And I really want to give a different sense about food in Nigeria. I want to give a different narrative about our cultural dishes that needs to be projected to the outside world. Are you already buying into my food business? Yeah, yeah, that kind of thing. So you see, like storytelling is very, very important for an entrepreneurs. Like you need to really tell that. And we growing up, even great brands sell their product through stories. Like brands like Coca-Cola, big brands, even like Apple, Facebook, every one of them want to, like Facebook want to give you a narrative that it started out of somebody's passion to connect people.
Yeah.
And instantly, people buy into the idea. And that's what storytelling does in your personal branding and your professional branding. So to Amina, as a professional, yes, you need to. I'm sorry about that, Miriam. Miriam, good. So if somebody asks you, what do you do? Or tell me about yourself, rather. You want to be able to catalog, or you're an aeronautic engineer. That's something rare in Nigeria. But can you tell us what really inspired you, to pick up that career? Was it out of a motivation that the name sounds very ambiguous, or were you really inspired because you saw Neil Armstrong? You saw him in in the space shuttle one day, and then you felt I should become. So what really inspired you? Will learn more about that, about personal branding and professional branding, along the way. So there's something I want to introduce to us today. How many of us have heard this word rhetoric before? Have you heard that word rhetoric? Mm. So rhetoric, it's a form of communication that is not really taught in our society today. Like I said, yeah, communication is a broad message, is a broad exchange of messages between people, whereas rhetoric is a specific type of communication focused on persuasion, involving strategically crafted language and other techniques to influence an audience thought or action. Rhetoric, it's a different kind of communication. When we talk about communication, it's just simply exchanging information between two people. Two people communicate. But to better understand this word rhetoric, if you go back to the modern British history, where before you're being elected a prime minister or you come into public service, you must be able to come clearly explain to the public what you plan to do, how you plan to change probably the economic, the landscape of the country. What are your thoughts? What are your plans for the country? And your ability to explain that effectively give you an upper chance, in succeeding in your post. Unlike Nigeria, yeah, where political sentiments are driven by, your ethnicity, your tribe, and your religion. So in a place like Britain and America, where your sentiment should be driven by what you plan to do and how you explain that effectively will determine if you will win the election or not. And I want us to see communication today from that perspective, that communication is rhetoric, my ability to persuade people, to inspire people, employing different techniques, which some of them we're going to be learning them along the way on how to inspire people. And that's how I really want us to see, communication. Or I said, yeah, all rhetoric is communication, but not all communication is rhetoric. So in summary, we should speak to inspire people. We should speak to inform. We should speak to make people believe our emotion, to buy into our emotion, to buy into our story. That's just what rhetoric is all about. And rhetoric emphasizes the act of crafting arguments and making strategic choices to achieve a specific persuasive goal. So if you're going to employ rhetoric as the heart of communication, you have to be intentional about your word choices, about your not just your vocabulary, your voice modulation. There are ways that great speakers speak. There's how I can say a word. I can say it in two different ways. One, you believe one, and the other one, you might not actually believe that. For instance, now, I'll say one of my mantra is to give people a sense of hope, a sense of purpose, and a sense of a better life. But I can put this word in this way that one of my mantra is to give people a sense of hope, to give people a sense of purpose, and to give people a sense of a better life. How does the two sound?
Totally different.
Totally different, right? But they're same words.
Yeah.
That's what rhetoric is all about. How to use those words to inspire, to sway people away. Politicians use that a lot, to sway people away. Or you come to make people buy into emotion. Even as an entrepreneur, this should be one of the things you do. How to make people believe in you, believe in your product, believe that yours is superior. And our human psychology is positioned in a way that we buy things based on our emotion. You're based on our emotion connection, ability. Not sometimes we might see a superior product, but we prefer to go with the one that resonates with us. And politicians knows how to use this very well. They make people believe that we are the good people, the other opponents are the bad people. So just follow us and all of that. So I want to now tell us about the three elements of rhetoric. I've told you that rhetoric is a different kind of communication that seeks to persuade people. So the element of rhetoric, there are three. Ethos, the ethos talks about your credibility. Pathos talk about the use of your emotion. And logos talk about the use of logic, which are all used to craft a compelling argument. So ethos, when we talk about ethos, we're simply referring to the speaker's character, the speaker's credibility, and the speaker authority. You know, and how it works. Ito seeks to establish the speaker expertise and trustworthy nature or relevant credential to gain the audience trust and confidence in, in their messages. Let me give you an example. I come into this room and I tell you that, good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Chukwemeka. I've been in the construction industry in the last 10 years, where I was able to take part in breathtaking construction activities. One of the construction projects that I achieved during my career, we were able to develop the biggest and the most luxurious estate in Abuja. As of the time of its commission, it was the best in Abuja. I've also been involved in breathtaking projects in Lagos, Lekki precisely, Sandfield area, where we constructed a 5-story office building complex on soft soil. This was a daunting project that we did that required a lot of expertise, where we were able to employ a lot of our knowledge and craftsmanship in coming up with this edifice. Also, I was able to learn during my career. I was able to learn under one of the best when it comes to construction in Abuja. I'm talking about Engineer Nemeka Chukwueke. He's a stakeholder in the construction industry in Abuja. And not only that, in the next 5 to 10 years, my goal is to become a thought leader and an industry expert in the construction industry. How do I sound by that?
Convincing.
Convincing. So that's the credibility you're seeking to establish. That's the expertise. That when you speak, you want to make people see you know what you are saying, that you are very credible and trustworthy about the craft you are talking about. You want to give us that sense that you really know, and we could sense that if you come to tell us about what you are not, even you might be that thing, but your inability to express that puts you at a very disadvantaged position. And we should always remember that when we're given the opportunity to speak, please express your expertise, your authority about a particular field. Or if you're entering the banking industry, tell us what you have done, what you are doing, and probably where you are going, or probably who you work under. Like if you work for the biggest brand, please make people know about that. Or I've worked for CBN. If you make sure like you come and tell me, I've been in CBN in the last 10 years, instantly my thought about you would change. I know for you to work in Central Bank of Nigeria, you must not be an ordinary person. So it's an opportunity to sell just yourself. So, and that's for ethos. So pathos, emotion, appeal to your audience emotion. How these things work is just for you to make people buy into your emotion. Because you can come to sell a product to us, or you come to sell a book on AI, for instance, now, and you come and buy this book. This book is about AI. If you buy this book, you will know more about AI. You will learn about AI. Your children will know more about AI. Rather, how does that sound? I'm sure I will not buy. Yeah. No, but you can do that in a very different way. You come and tell us that in the last 5 years, the world has been trending towards artificial intelligence, and this has been the order of the day. According to the United Nations, the artificial intelligence by 2050 will dominate over 90% of all the jobs in the world. There's an urgency that every young Nigeria needs to develop their competence in artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's going to seep into all industry, the banking sector, the finance sector, the construction industry, and also politics. AI is here to change how we operate in our day-to-day activities. The earlier you familiarize yourself with the tools and the knowledge of artificial intelligence, the faster you transit into becoming a wealthier person. Will you buy a book on AI or not? Yeah, of course you buy. So the use of emotion, it's very, very important that you really need to make people see, tell us something. Or for instance, I remember, I would have given you another example for pathos, for ethos. Ethos also uses maybe data, and I remember there was something I was working. I remember there was something I was working on some time ago, and I remember it was about building information modeling. And if I want to sell that to a group of people and investors, I come and tell you that according to the United Nations Environmental Council, that says over 38% of industrial waste of industrial waste developed globally are being generated by the construction industries, and it becomes imperative that we seek to reduce this construction waste in order to reduce global warming, which is increasing year by. As of 2015, the global warming has increased to is it increase or decrease to 1.5 degrees Celsius? Is it increase or decrease? It's increasing. Okay, great. Painting that picture alone, in philosophy they call it, argumentum and populus, appeal to people's emotion. You want to give them a sense of urgency, and problem. My goal is to come and tell you why you need to employ building information modeling to automate construction waste and to increase efficiency. But yet, I need to tell you the problem first and paint it a way that not just necessarily make it look bad, but make you buy. I want to make you buy and see the urgency of that thing, and bringing in. I brought in, according to the United Nations Environmental Agency. The moment you hear that, what comes to your mind? You know, there will be an let me first. What comes to your mind? There is an urgency, right? I know what I'm doing. United Nations Environmental Agency is an organization that you need to pay more attention to. So if they have declared that the construction industry contributes over 38% of construction waste, then you should not just take them serious. You should take me serious, in what I'm telling you. So that's for pathos, and that's for ethos. This is for pathos, emotion. And the third element of rhetoric is logic. Logic or logos. This one appeals to reasoning. And logic. And how this works, yes, this is fact, data, statistics, and clear logical connection between ideas to build a compelling argument. Or like I talk about the United Nations Environmental Agency, for instance, that says the construction industry contribute 38% waste, to our society. So we can tend to use that. Who can give me an example, maybe in your field? Who want to try to give me an example of statistic, logic, using data? Do you want to try? Do you want to try? Yeah.
Statistics shows that air travel is the safest mode of traveling.
Okay. So, and how did
So
that?
if you go on, if like the chances of you having a fatal accident, 0.001%.
Wow. So in other words, you're telling us we should all book a flight to our next destination. We should never use the train, never use the buses. So that's perfect. That's good. That's a good example, using statistics and to drive your point. Or, do you want to give us an example? Do you want to give us an example using your AI model?
Well, maybe in education,
Yeah.
as of 2022, the market share was around maybe 2.5 billion.
Yeah.
But it's expected to progress over 6 billion in 2025.
So,
So if you're investing in AI in education, it shows
Yeah.
you that there's an opportunity.
there's an opportunity. Wow, thank you very much. So that's perfect, using data and logic. So now we go to our first highlight for today: confidence building. I said earlier that public speaking is 80% confidence. You might know a lot, you might have a lot to say, but your ability to maintain composure, to maintain clarity, and to maintain a sense of authority while explaining that gives you an edge, not just above any person, but above yourself, because the competition is you. The goal is to become better when communicating. And then, so I said here, confidence is a deep belief in your skill, in your ability, and competence. Simply just having a superior mindset. The superior mindset is not above any other person, but above you yourself. Oh my god. Sorry about that. Why is this thing not working? I'm so sorry about that. He said, I can't even find this. Where is this tone coming from? Yes. No, I'm trying to see it. Okay, yes. Yeah. Sorry about that. Maybe. No, no, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Yes, great. Slideshow. Yeah. Okay, back. So sorry about that interruption. So confidence, I've talked about having a deep belief in your skill, in your ability, and your competence. And then I asked a question here: why do people lose or lack confidence while speaking? I need answers. Why do people lose or lack confidence? Why? Why? Think about yourself now. Okay, you may or may not get yourself. Why do you think?
You mentioned something when you first of all
Yeah.
said confidence when speaking, when they don't have probably expertise in what they're expressing about.
Yeah.
So lack of expertise
Yeah.
in what
Yeah, what you're doing.
about, lack of
Confidence.
in your expressions.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a very good point. Yes, you didn't do your proper research or your due diligence about a particular topic, and you're being asked about that. It can throw you off balance. Any more suggestions? Any more? I'm expecting to hear there's some kind of suggestion I'm hoping to hear. Anyone? Like fear, like nerves? Yeah? Yes. Judgment. What people think about what I say. So yes, I think those are the major reasons.
Or the way they look at you.
The way they look at you. Yes, yeah, yeah. So, and I think that's what discourages people a lot to speak. Probably the first time you spoke, you said something not too good, and maybe people laughed, and then in your mind you said, "I will never, I will never speak again," and that became a very daunting moment for you, like always lacking confidence to speak. Or I remember I was in a meeting sometime, and somebody was asked a question impromptu, and probably failed the question, and then the person in his mind that, oh, I will never try this again. This can haunt you for years. But whether we like it or not, at some point in time, you'll be called upon, to speak, whether in your corporation, in your church, wherever. So that's why we need to really build this confidence. Then I want to now go to techniques for we building our confidence. And I categorize them in three ways. One has to do doing preparation and practice. You know, Mr. Emeka said something that was the first one. Know your material inside out. Like thoroughly understand your topic to feel more confident and less reliant on the script. The more knowledgeable you become about something, the more confident you find yourself to talk about that thing when called upon. Whether you're waking up from the sleep and you're called upon to talk about a subject, if it's about history, if it's about any political topic you've read for a long time, you'll be so confident, to talk about that. Number two, to organize your thoughts. You can know a lot about something, and you are being asked about a particular question about what you know, but your inability to organize your thoughts in a coherent way can throw you off balance. It happens a lot, even to most professional speakers. I'll tell you one technique that they use. Probably, if you ask a question and you don't even know it, great speakers will pause. Will sometimes they'll first take a deep pause, think within split second, to organize their thoughts. Some will use an opportunity to rephrase the question to the knowledge they understand it and give an answer. So if I come to ask you, for instance, a question, I ask you, hello, young, please, sir, what's your name? God's love. Okay, God's love. Have you stopped beating your wife? You don't even have your wife. Okay, great. So let me say, for instance, now you have your wife, for instance, and then I asked you that question. That question can throw you off balance. And you might answer it maybe out of in a rational manner. You might be aggressive while answering that. But intelligent speakers sometimes might take a deep breath and try to understand where the question is coming from and how do I respond to that. So to somebody who is not properly informed, instantly guilt, maybe fear will just envelop you, and instantly you're thrown off balance. So when next you are asked a question you are not too sure about or you don't understand fully, take a deep pause. Nobody will pressure you that you have to answer immediately. Sometimes rephrase it to the way you understand it. So you ask me a question, or I ask you, for instance, I ask you, and you're like, what do you think about the current trend on global warming in Africa in general? What do you think?
That's an interesting
Question.
question.
Yeah.
Well, I think that something needs to be done about global warming. I feel like the government should encourage more trees to
Yeah.
be planted.
Yeah.
I feel like how do you,
No, you said something already. Your thoughts.
I'm trying to put my
Yes,
thoughts
together.
so that's why I'm like
Yeah. Yeah, no. Thank you. You answer confidently. Even though you have to take some strategic pauses. You will learn that as we proceed. Great speaker, use pauses. If you are not too sure about something, probably take a deep pause about that. Reorganize your thoughts. Yeah. I think it's a strategy. I think instantly, and over time, you now learn how to organize your thoughts very, very, very fast. That within split second, you're able to answer that question. Then the third one, yes, practice. Great speakers practice. And let me tell you this theory. The greatest of all speakers, when they come on stage, they still get nervous. That one, you can't run away from it. At every point in time, you might be this is your first time speaking to a crowd you're not familiar with. You're speaking to an audience who are hostile. You might feel nervous at the beginning. But practicing beforehand, probably, and maybe, God willing, you have not a pre-knowledge about your audience, you can now prepare. Or when talking about a topic, your audience do not all agree with. For instance, I'm coming to talk about religion in a room where there is mixed with all kinds of religion. There are probability that you might lose your confidence because you're trying to please these people and not displease these people. So you need to plan, you need to practice. What are the best words I can use? Words that will synchronize everybody, that will bring a sense of unity. So that's also learning some mastery. Word that will not offend this tribe or will not displace these people, but will bring everybody together. Or like, for instance, I know like there's this man of God I know, whenever he's teaching, he makes sure that if he wants to talk about anybody, he doesn't talk about that person for bad. Or if he's going to mention any name, that name has to be for good, not bad, because he doesn't want to draw any sense of confliction or contradiction from any opposing camp. And then, number 4, you have to start small. Gradually increasing the size of your audience, beginning with a smaller, supportive group of people to build confidence. It might be before your family member. Or today, I'll be telling people about my business. Gather your family member and tell them. Start from there. All great speakers all started from a particular position. Nobody grew up overnight to, for instance, now speaking confidently to a nation, to the world. Everybody, like if you were born and brought up in a place like America, it's pass and pass to that you have to learn rhetoric, or you're going to go into politics in the near future. Have you not wondered why all presidential US candidates, you see how confidently and smartly every one of them speak? They were all intentional. Maybe when they were in higher education or in their tertiary education, they know, or I'm probably going to go into politics. And one of the skills of a good politician, you need to know how to convince people. Same thing with entrepreneurs. No matter the good products you're building, many of us know Steve Jobs, that when he was alive, aside building good iPhones and smart watches, he could inspire his company, he could inspire his workers to come up with innovative ideas. And that's great qualities of every good leader. Your ability to inspire, your ability to tell your story. Tell us a story why you want to change our society. Tell us a story why there are many catering businesses in Abuja, but what unique thing does your business has? And you can only embed that in your story, that this is why I am doing this. Then our mindset for building confidence, during the speech, mindset and anxiety management. Number one says shift your focus. Have you been called upon to a stage, and the moment you got to the stage, you started seeing even faces instantly fear will seep in. I've experienced that a lot. I've experienced that. I remember when I was still in university, we were having this presentation about 5 departments. Everybody were called upon. When it reaches your group, maybe 2 persons were selected to come and tell us about your own particular topic. And I remember when it was my own group turn, I volunteered to speak. Everybody was shying away for that, but I came in to speak. I remember my first 30 seconds. I came in and said, "Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to offer a presentation, GSP 207. Instantly, I don't know where that came from. I even up to today, I'm still surprised. I'm here to offer a presentation, GSP 207 communication. I was just mixing words. But generally, that happened because of fear. When I saw my classmates, some of them were looking at me. Instantly, fear gripped me. But the moment I shifted my focus away from them, I directed my face to another department. We're all seated department by department to another department. Just instantly, my confidence came back, and I was able to communicate effectively what I was trying to pass out. And before 3 minutes, everybody started applauding. But my first 30 to 1 minute was a mess. So shifting your focus will really help you to tell your story better. If a familiar face will discourage you, please take it away. Or sometimes some people will encourage, if possible, look up, look away from your audience. Look away from your audience. Like the moment you grab into somebody's eyes, like people are not confident, for instance, to look. Okay, let's do that exercise. Can you look at somebody, even for 20 seconds, into the eye? Can you look at somebody you don't know, you're not familiar with? Like, how do you feel? How do you feel? Uncomfortable. Very well, yeah. And public speaking, you have to look at people at times in the eye. But if it's going to make you uncomfortable, please avoid it at the beginning. Look up, let everybody say avoid that. Number 2, visualize success. Imagine yourself delivering a confident and effective presentation. This has to do more internal, giving yourself like a high-spirited level of confidence. I can do this. I can speak. You go before the mirror. I can deliver my pitch effectively without shuddering, without feeling nerves. So speak to yourself, I can do it. And if you believe you can do it, you will be able to do it effectively. Number 3 says, reframe anxiety into excitement. This is something you will not run away from. Learn to interpret physical signs of nervousness as energy for your speech. The stage of feeling nervous, this is something you will not run away from. It's going to be a part of and parcel of your journey whenever you are giving any presentation. It's normal to feel afraid. It's normal to feel fearful. But your ability to calm that shows how much you have been able to master the act of public speaking and learn to convert that to a sense, of energy. I'll give you an instance that every time before I get to the stage to speak, I always feel nerve. I always feel afraid. No, this is me being sincere. I always. But I've been able to convince myself that I just need to get to the stage. And when I get to the stage, the fear will disappear. Just tell them what you know. If looking into people's eyes will make me feel nervous, I'll look the other way. Highest, best I can do, take a glance and move to the other side. So feeling nervous is part of it. Number 4, breathe deeply. That's very, very important. Let me just run. Okay, then during the presentation, okay, let me run through this because of our time. Okay, whenever we are presenting before an audience or anywhere, number 1, we should learn to focus on the audience needs. Concentrate on delivering your message clearly and engaging for them. Whenever you come to speak, the speech is not about you, it's about your audience. Communication only happens if your audience were able to understand what you plan to communicate. Whether you're delivering a visual message or an audio message, the goal is for your audience to understand it effectively. So focus on your audience. I give an example, for instance, now you have a mixed audience, people from different religion. Whereas you're a Christian and you believe your view are superior than to any other religion. But the moment you come on stage to speak, you should be able to accommodate everybody's point of view. Everybody has their own point of view. But if you come on stage and deliver a speech with the mindset that yours is superior to everybody, you have a very hard time delivering an effective message. So learn that. Number 2, this will help a lot. Find friendly faces. Connect with supportive individuals in the audience to boost your morale. But sometimes it can be discouraging when you see somebody you know looking at you, or probably if you live in the same house and everybody have watched you being a shy person, and for the first time you're seeing a familiar face who you feel will judge you. You might want to avoid that. Number 3, act confident. Even if you feel nervous, your audience is unlikely to notice. I bet you they are unlikely to notice. For instance, I'll give you an example. Have you seen people who come to deliver a speech and in the process they say, "Oh, sorry, no, I was meant to say this, no, sorry." Have you encountered things like that? Have you seen people like that? Or probably I'm talking about why security is important in our society. And I start, "Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to tell you about security." Wait, no, important. I need to tell you about why security is important in, like, do you know that the moment you start to speak now, your audience have no knowledge about what is in your mind until you express that. So if you give us a perception that what you're trying to say is not correct or is incorrect, now our trust and our sense of and your sense of authority tend to reduce about you. So if you make a mistake, move on. Nobody needs to know. Do you know, standing there, I have said many things I didn't plan to say, or I've wanted to say another thing. But nobody cares except you make us care. You were supposed to say communication, and then you said management. Instantly, some person will say rather, or I was meant to say this rather. Nobody cares. So act confidently. And finally, use a virtual aid effectively that can help you. Or sometimes there are some speakers use some techniques to ask questions. Let me say, if I come into the room and I feel nervous starting a speech, some will start, maybe I want to talk about insecurity in Nigeria, and I will ask you a question. With a show of hands, how many of us have experienced insecurity in your neighborhood? Instantly, what you have done is that you have been able to attract your audience feeling, yeah, and then with, yeah, thank you very much. That was engagement. So the moment the first person responds, you're like the person will have given you a motivation on why you need to talk about what you want to talk about. So from there you can proceed. From there you can really proceed. And so, do we have any question on this on confidence before I move to the art of public speaking? No. Do you want to contribute anything? So I don't want to make it more like okay. Does anybody have any question? Any question about confidence on how to build a robust confidence while speaking? No question yet. Okay, so thank you for that. Then our second outline for today is mastering the art of public speaking. Is there a way you should speak as an entrepreneur, as a professional, or a public servant? At the beginning of my presentation, I made us understand the communication mindset. Who can remind us the communication mindset of an entrepreneur? Who can remind me? Yes?
Share idea, innovation, and tell a story.
And tell a story. Thank you. What about a professional?
Inspire, motivate your team, give feedback and progress reports of your organization.
Okay, and to the public servants.
To inform the general audience about current government trends, policies, and action.
Okay, I will have to reiterate that for those who join us, later, that every career person must have a communication mindset. And I made mention that as an entrepreneur, the communication mindset you should have that when you are given the opportunity to speak or to talk about yourself is simply to share your ideas, to tell stories about yourself, about your product. And I made reference that if you sell your story and your story sells, definitely your product will sell. Definitely your ideas will sell. If you can be able to do that confidently. For a professional, the communication mindset you have is to inspire, because to a professional, you ascribe or believe to be a leader in your field. So you should be able to communicate effectively, probably your organization goals, to inspire your followers, teamwork, project management. And these are skills that you should be able to develop as a professional individual. For a public servant, I said you should be able to inform the general audience about probably the government trend, probably about policies, tell us about what is happening on ground, because that is why we are paying you. You're being paid with the taxpayers' money. So tell us about the current trend, what is happening. So now we're moving to the art, mastering the art of public speaking. There are ways, there are techniques that great speakers use while speaking, that you can come. Great speakers like Anthony Robbins, great speakers like Vusu. Oh, how many of us know Vusu? I used to forget that his surname. Tembewako. Is it Tembewako? Great. Whenever that man, we like call him a young man, comes in, there are postures, there are things he says that captivate his audience. You can never get bored listening to Vusu. You can never get bored listening to him. To men like Olumide, I know people like Olumide. But if you watch Vusu, for instance, now, and I really want us to pay attention, if there is just one person I will want everybody to listen to after now, is Vusu. Because that man is full of ideas and inspiration. It's as if he knows everything. You can't ask Vusu a question and doesn't have an answer for that. Yeah, he has been able to build his credibility. He has been able to build, his authenticity, his authority. He knows how to sell his ideas. There was a time I was watching. I don't know what they call it in South Africa. In the US, they call it the Sharks program, led by Mark Cubbins. And yeah, in South Africa, there's a particular name they called it. And Vusu usually lead such a venture capitalist project. If you listen to a Vusu now, I'm trying to imitate Vusu now. The Times is talking. It's moving around the stage. How he says what he says. And when you try to tell people, you have to have a growth mindset. As a leader, the way he stresses the words he uses, how he's able to organize his thoughts. If you ask him a question and he's not sure about it, well, those will just look up and look down and answer you in a very confident manner. So there is something he has been able to learn over time. There is something he has been able to build and master, and that's what we call the art of public speaking. You know, number one, I said know your audience. I remember it was this year the platform. We know the platform. It's a program, a yearly program organized by Pastor Koju, where he invite great speakers and leaders around the world to come speak to inspire the general public on pressing issues that concern the countries. So this year was the first time that Vusu was invited. And when he came to the platform, I remember instantly he was able to realize and know that majority of the audience are young people. Over 80 to 90% are young people. And he started by acknowledging that, I really acknowledge that majority of you are young people. And before he ended his message, he was able to inspire the young people and to give messages that are directed majorly for young people. You know, having that mindset, if Vusu come to a rooms of politicians and entrepreneurs, for instance, now, how Vusu will interact with those people would definitely be different, right? So very, very important. Know your audience, research their interests, their knowledge, their expectation to tailor your message and use relatable language. For Vusu, for instance, talking to young people, one of his words for them that you have to continue your hustle. You have to push further. Don't worry about the government policies. The government is not here to help you, but you have to push boundaries. You have to push through the four walls of your confinement. If the government will support you, eventual capitalists will be there to encourage you. You know, these words are words that if will inspire young people who are finding it hard time to access funding. You know, compared to if you are given the opportunity to speak to professionals, for instance, let's say the Association of Teachers or Lawyers, for instance. Now, how do you think you can speak to lawyers or speak to people who you know, or they read a lot, for instance, now lawyers, they read a lot, and you have to research, know what lawyers like, what they don't like, know how to be able to, to address them, say something relatable. Or for instance, if I meet lawyers now, if I meet a lawyer, one of the first things I try to do, I try to just make some quotes from the Constitution. And I'll just say things like, according to Section 4, subsection 9, paragraph 9, Section 4, subsection 1, paragraph 9 of the Nigeria Criminal Code of Conduct as amended in 1999, which says, instantly you think, you think I really knows much. Anyway, I can quote some part of it. If you're able, if I'm speaking to lawyers, for instance, I would want to quote some part of the law to them because instantly it will give me some sense of credibility that I actually know what I'm doing, and I can relate with them. What they go through to memorize the law, or go and print out some section of the law, know the law by heart. So that's very important in knowing your audience. Number two, you have to structure your speech. Organize your content with a clear introduction, a body, and a conclusion to make it easy for your audience to follow. Like I made reference about the Sharks program. That program, usually you are given within 3 to 4 minutes to come pitch your ideas, sell yourself, and ask for funding. What are your terms and conditions? So within 3 minutes, can you tell us about what your product is all about? Can you tell us how much you have raised? What have you done? Probably in the last 2 years since your products were created. And what do you need from us? What are you going to offer? Very, very important. We need to learn every good speech, whether it's a 2-minute speech, whether it's a 3 minutes or a 5-minute. Learn, it must have a beginning, a body, a conclusion, something to draw people to. Are you using facts? Are you using emotion? Are you using logic? Are you using data? Are you speaking like an authority in your field? Or for instance now, like you're about to start a fintech company and you are presented between some venture capitalists. How do you convince them within 3 to 4 minutes? Or you might come and say, I've worked, for instance now, in OPE in the last 5 years, and I have witnessed this problem, that problem, and I was brought within me to create this solution to this problem. I've been able to achieve this in the last 2 years. I've been able to acquire this amount of fund, and now I need you to invest this amount of money because in 5 years, the valuation of the company will amount to this. Like that sounds very concerned. That sounds, I just within 30 seconds, right? I've been able to talk about where I'm coming from, what I've done, where I'm going, and the rewards of what I'm going to do. So very, very important. As a professional person also, it's always very important. You talk about your background. Within split second, I've been in the banking industry in the last 12 years. And during that process, we witnessed this problem, that problem, and combined with my skills in artificial intelligence, which I acquired from this prestigious university, I seek to provide a solution that will solve this problem, in the banking industry, if given the opportunity to do so. So, and does that make sense?
Yes.
Does oh so number three, this is where it gets very interesting. The use of vocal variety. The use of vocal variety now. This has to do with your pitch, your pace rather, your volume to keep your audience engaged. Great leader use that always at all time. So far so good. Like I know consistently I have a very high pitch, but there's sometimes I want to make some emphasis. I have to reduce my pitch and make it seep into your spirit, into your soul and your body. So knowing when to use it is very important. When you want to talk about striking points, or Winston Churchill, for instance, might be giving, when during the Second World War, might be giving a 20-minute speech. But when it was time for him to rally the British troop, he will come and say, we will fight in the land and in the beaches. We will never give up. We will never surrender. We will keep on fighting till we till we defeat the Germans. Knowing when to use that is very, very important. Great speakers use that a lot. Learn how to modulate your voice. Know when to say, when you want to say important things, lower your tone, take them slower. But when it comes to data, for instance, you can be audible about that. Or probably when you're doing a virtual presentation, data, you have to be very audible and clear. Let us know what you are talking about. But when it comes to saying striking things, remember to lower your pace, your pitch. I feel we should try that exercise. I feel we should try it. Can you tell us, can somebody volunteer? So probably tell us about the problem you've experienced in Nigeria in the last 2 years. Tell us some of the problems you've discovered and how do you think you can solve it? Employing, I've talked about pitch, pacing, and your volume. Does anybody want to volunteer? Or any topic of your choice. Any topic of your choice. Any topic. So let's do this. So everybody will try. Yes.
The problem in Nigeria
Yeah.
is not a talent problem.
Yeah.
It is an opportunity problem. And in my own understanding, I believe that right now,
Yes.
everyone needs to rally around the government to ensure that all hands are on deck to move the country forward.
Wow.
Because it is very pertinent for us to move our country forward for a better future for our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow. That's a round of applause for that. Yes. At one point in time, I felt the urgency. Yes. So that's the power of voice modulation to increase your voice. Miriam, do you want to try? Do you want to try? You think, okay. Yes. So I've forgotten your name again. Goslov. Okay. Do you want to try? Anything. Talk about anything. Anything you feel like. Anything you want to say. Please give it a try. Give it a try. Okay. Anu, do you want to try? Try anything.
Let's talk about the tax laws that they keep introducing.
Introducing, yeah.
So I feel, how do I say it now? Okay.
You can start. You
The
can start.
tax laws
Yeah, yeah.
that are being introduced is really affecting entrepreneurs. For example, um, you already have a budget set for the month
Yeah.
of, let's say, April, and before you know it, they introduce another law that it's
And your profit margin.
into your profit margin, and it's really affecting productivity, and it's really affecting our businesses. So I would want the government to please look into this matter so that entrepreneurs can also thrive.
No, you try. You try. You try. You try. You try.
What I
But
was saying.
yes, yeah, again, yeah, you try. You try. It makes sense. The only recommendation, like the voice wasn't sounding too confident at some point, but you made your point known. You expressed that through. One thing I could pick was your emotion about it. That we could feel, yes, government need to really work about this because based on what you said, it's really affecting you, affecting your business.
So am I supposed to shout?
No, you're not supposed to shout.
Nigerian government,
No.
what is going on?
Nigeria.
What is really going on?
Okay.
Are you trying to kill us?
No, that's enough if you are trying to, maybe if you're in a political rally, to be dramatic about that. But in a professional, I'm giving an instance now, you can be very dramatic with your voice about it, not your action alone. Yes. So that's where you need to now practice more with your voice modulation about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Why every young Nigerian need to rise. We need to come out of obscurity. For over many years, we have watched the government play on our intelligence. Every 4 years, they keep coming to give us fake promises, telling us about things that will never materialize. All they wanted from us was our vote. But our young Nigerians, do we need to continue in this impunity?
No.
Do we need to continue in this obscurity?
No.
We need to rise.
Yes.
We need to take our futures in our hands.
Let's go.
Everybody, let's, that kind of a thing. So that's the power of voice modulation.
No, I felt it.
You felt it,
I
yes.
felt it.
Martin Luther King Jr. was a master of this, trying to inspire. His famous speech, "I have a dream." The moment when he said, "I have a dream," the passion. It was not even in the word; it was the passion saying that I have a dream that one day the future of our country. The one I remember the most was like, I have a dream that one day that my little 4 children will not be judged based on the color of their skin, but on the content of their heart. I have a dream that one day the Negroes and the white men will sit together, holding hands and playing in the street. I have a dream. Do you see my dream?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the power of voice modulation. Knowing how to when to stress a point, when to emphasize more on a point. We need to practice that. That's one of the greatest technique, in public speaking. Pace helps you when you're about to make a mistake or you don't know what to say. You can lower your pace. I forgot to put pause. Strategic pauses. Okay, yeah, I did that. Strategic pauses. Really important. So number 4, a controlled body language. Maintain a confident posture, make eye contact, and use natural hand gesture to support your points. Now, this is very, very important that when you want to stress a point, for instance, now I can come and say, I want to talk about insecurity, for instance, now. Everybody watch me now. And I come saying, I was born in the southern part of this country. I had my tertiary education in the eastern part of Nigeria. And upon my completion of my tertiary education, I moved to the northern part of this country. And that was where my career began. I've worked in the construction industry in the last 5 years. And one of the interesting things about life was the moment I met my mentor. He taught me a lot. Let me not continue my story. But the point I was trying to buttress there was you could see the synchronization with my words and my hands movements, my posture. That moment, I don't want to enter into another life. That moment I looked up, that gives you an idea. I was trying to say something dear to me, right? You could picture what picture do you have in your mind the moment I looked up and I was trying to now say something. It's what picture did you think?
Well, it was a sincere,
Yeah.
heartfelt expression.
Expression. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's it. So you could do this with your hands, with your body, but rather if I come in here, just one posture, I said, "Good afternoon, everyone. I was born in the southern part of this country. I had my tertiary education in the eastern part of this country, and then I moved to the northern part of this country, and I started my career here. The greatest moment that happens to me was when I met my mentor. I was not a good person. I you know, but you could see the you could see the difference. Yeah. You said? Feel sleepy, yes, yeah, yeah, that kind of. But when I come in with energy, you don't have to even stress yourself so much, but your ability to make your words synchronize with your body language. When I need to move, I move. When I need to stress, buttress a point. Like I'm saying, every one of you. How does that sound? Every one of you. Than saying every one of you, or just maybe I put my hand in my pocket now. Every one of you, and every one of you. Yeah, more confident, more direct. Just like, for instance now, with a show of hands, and with a show of hands, like you see that difference. Yeah, so it's helps and synchronize your speech effectively to match your body language. What other body language? Yes, you have to leave. Okay, no problem. Is it 4 already? Oh my God, I wasn't aware of that. Past 4. Uh, Sure. Yes. Well, it's being recorded. Okay, your contact. Okay, please help me collect your contact. Okay, so let me rush through with this. I will just have to rush through with this. Be authentic. I think I've talked a bit about it. Let your personality shine through speaking in your own authentic voice. Let your personality shine through speaking in your own authentic voice. Make your message more relatable. So your name is Paul, and you're coming to tell us, or you're coming to speak to us, and you're sounding the way Michael sounds. It doesn't make you more authentic. Be more authentic about yourself. Then number 6, practice relentlessly. Rehearse your speech multiple times to become comfortable with your material, especially when you're beginning new, in the speaking career, or you're coming newly to speak to people. Practice that. Number 7, manage nerves. I've talked about this a while ago that no matter how confident every guest speaker might look like, you just need to learn, how to manage your nerves.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Then number 8, which is the final one for the art, handling mistake. Never be too conscious of your mistakes, and remember that mistakes are process towards masteries. Don't punish yourself when you make one. Move on with your speech. Nobody will know you made a mistake unless you told them. Yeah, how powerful this is. That don't punish yourself when you make one. There's sometimes you make a mistake and you're like, like, like I remember Anu was did that. Like in her mind, like what I said was wrong. Like, yeah, like no kind of a thing. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Nobody really cares. Nobody cares. So always remember these things that when you make a mistake, please move on. Don't stop there. Continue with that speech. No matter the mistake you make, nobody will know. Like, for okay, for instance now, everybody maybe bow your head down. Like for instance now, I want to give an example now. Like, and then I'm talking. I remember in 1960 when Nigeria got independence, the country was that bad. No, wait. Like instantly you will look up. Yes, you will. I'm very sure about that. You will look up. So that was what mistakes, like you not being able to handle mistake properly, would do to you. The moment if you make a mistake, continue with it. Oh, I remember in 1960, Nigeria wasn't a good country. Whereas then, in the process, you can use uh, connecting statements to handle your mistakes. Or you were supposed to say come, you said go, and instantly come rather, things like that. Or let me give you an example now. And I was saying, I remember in 1960 when Nigeria gained independence, the country was in a political kingdom, or rather, the country was in a political crisis. Rather, rather, it was so disappointing that the future of the country was hanging in imbalance. No, I'm not making any mistakes. Sorry, I was trying to make some mistake, but you get the point I'm trying to put now. That whenever you make a mistake, use a connected statement to rephrase your statement. Nobody will know. Nobody cares about you making mistake. But if you come and tell us, no, sorry, that thing can destabilize you a lot, and within split second, instantly you everything you plan to say. Have you come to that moment that you rehearse two-page paper just for you to get to the stage and you realize that you're forgetting all? That it can happen, or instantly when your nerves break down, just fear takes over you. You are just overwhelmed and you can't even remember the last word you said. This was something you were saying 10 times in the last 10 minutes, but you can't remember anything. So that's what really happened. Move on with your mistake. Nobody will know that you make a mistake. Okay? Technique that great speaker uses. I think I might have to skip this because of our time. Yes, I want us to talk about storytelling. Yeah. Before maybe I might have to skip that. I think our time is far spent.
So why not just give a nugget for those ones? Because I think
For
they are very important too.
Oh, they're very important. Okay, thank you for that. I say technique that great speaker uses. I say number one, great speakers use three breathless sentence. These breathless sentence are words, as sentences they use to connect the openings of their speech. Let me give you the perfect example I can think of right now is okay. Okay, let me give you the example I give instant. I'll use that through it. That okay, I was born in the south. I said I was born in the western part of the country. I had my tertiary education in what? In the tertiary part, in the eastern part of this country. And when I started my career, I moved to the northern part of this country. You see how that three sentence, like if you listen to that statement, there's a magic that statement does to your mind. It brings some level of coherency and clarity in your mind. Another example I can give to I'm trying to remember an example that's very very popular in the world. Oh, it was this man. What's that his name? Abraham Lincoln that said, "What's his popular statement? That democracy is government for the people, by the people, and for the people." It's very intentional when he uses that three statements. It's very very important because there's how like research shows that our minds follow rhythms, follow patterns. So it does things to our mind. We see that a lot from great speakers. Like for instance, now, like me, I normally have my own mantra that says, okay, my goal, my desire is to give people the sense of hope, a sense of purpose, and a sense, of a better life. Another perfect example I can give which was I'm trying to remember. Mm, maybe along the line I'll try to remember more example with popular quotes that we know. But it's important we should learn to whenever we want to give a compelling message that will stick in people's minds. Yes, that I have it. Yes, those were that three breathless sentences. It sticks. It helps. It sticks in our memory. That's why we can't forget that any day, anytime, democracy is government for the people, by the people, and you.
So, in other words, I want to know is the three breathless sentences
Yeah.
more like a hook.
A hook, yes, you can call it that, a hook. Yes, thank you. You can call it like a hook. And it helps to stick in people's minds. It really helps. It gives you some level of coherency and clarity. People can remember that faster than maybe the 2 hour or 30-minute speeches that you give. So number three is the three repetitive sentences. Some of them are, should be emotional or like, which perfect example I can give? Yeah, same thing with that. Abraham Lincoln's message. I said, democracy is government for the people, by the people, and for the people. The three balanced sentences, which are, our mind are always used to be in a balanced mode. Somebody will say, oh, everybody seeks to embrace a balanced mind, balanced diets, balance everything. So, for instance, now, I remember when John F. Kennedy was giving a speech during his inauguration service, and he gave a statement that says, my fellow Americans, do not ask what America can do for you, but rather ask what I can do for America. Like, you see that balancing like statement, and when he gives that statement, or when he gave that statement, the next thing that should follow, everybody will just applaud him. Like, it's a very good statement that really balances people mind, bringing a positive and a negative, together, and together. And finally,
Balance statement, right?
yes, the three balance statements. Yes.
So I think the difference between the wordless sentences and the repetitive sentences is the time. Because for the wordless one, you said those three words continuously without breaking.
Yeah.
And the repetitive is just people, people,
Yes,
people.
people. For another instance, for instance, now, Barack Obama will keep on saying things like education, education, education.
That's the rule of three.
The rule of three, the three repetitive sentences. Then I remember Winston Churchill that says, his own, we will fight in the land, we will fight in the beach. I can't remember exactly those words he said. But for the three repetitive sentences, the goal is to draw out emotion, from people about, like trying to buttress a point. Why not making it look broad now? Like I talked about, I want to talk about education, education, education. Or what other example? I don't know why all this example just run out of my mind today. What other example? I'll come back to that as we go. I hope. Then rhymes. Rhymes is why rhymes is important, because our minds are wired to think that way. Which is what, like, musician uses that a lot. Like, they want to give a rhyme or like introduction. Or Marshmallow said, always learn to match your mentality with your ability. And when you do that, you come to a point that your mindsets become
Your capacity.
those aspire to Maguire people. Aspire to Maguire to inspire. Okay, yes, I remember one from the Alchemist. The Alchemist says that wherever your heart inspires to acquire, the universe conspire to help you acquire it. Have you read that book, The Alchemist?
Wow.
Like the Alchemist. So instantly, like when you hear statement, whether it's right or wrong, your mind will just tell you it's right. Yes, that's what rhymes. That's what rhymes does. Or match your attitude with your long. I'm not good at rhyme, but I know there are speakers I know that uses that a lot, and it really helps. What I know I'm good at, try to use the three breathless sentences to captivate people. And who is good at rhymes again? I know Marshmallow is good. Who uses rhymes? I know a lot. Do you have any idea of anybody that uses rhymes? You've heard that whenever they're speaking, they like using rhymes. Okay, I know this man. Okay, Dr. Paul Enenche. Oh, he uses that a lot, and it really helps to convey your point. And then after he says that, people will definitely want to put that in the quotes. Yeah. So that's what rhymes does, to you. So finally, for our third point, so to run through this, I think we'll spend over an hour. Storytelling. So this is where it gets very interesting. That storytelling, there's a skill of storytelling, and it's something that we should learn to tell story with everything we are doing, because story sells, story move faster. As children, We learn so many things about life with story. Whenever we hear story, you're really drawn and captivated to lean. When somebody says, oh, somebody's giving a speech, and in the middle of that speech, and says, let me tell you a story, instantly, everybody will just, come and listen.
I like that about Fernando too.
Yes.
When he speaks,
Yeah.
he talks about certain experiences
Yeah, I
he's
bet.
had in his life, and he needs people to relate more,
More.
to what he's saying. So you end up seeing that people
Listen attentively about story. Okay, I just feel tempted to give a speech with a story. Can I do that? Okay. You have to go. Oh my goodness. Okay, no problem. No problem. Okay. Okay, let me hold on with that speech with the story. I think Anu said she needs to leave. But the idea about storytelling that it's one of the most powerful tools an entrepreneur can use in speech delivery because it connects ideas to emotion and make your message more memorable, more persuasive, and more impactful. So, and I talked about, yes, why it's important for every entrepreneurs that it builds connections and trust. Audience, yeah, I said the audience relates more to your journey, your struggle, and lesson than to plain fact and figure. This is very true, especially in a country like Nigeria. Now, let's tell us why. Tell us the struggle. People are more likely to trust and support entrepreneurs they feel connected to. Very true. Number two is simplify complex ideas. Business concept, models, or innovation can be abstract or technical, but story, you can just tell a story to demonstrate or rather to explain a 2,000 pages with a simple story. So the next one, okay, to inspire and to motivate. Investors, clients, or employees are inspired by story of resilience and visions. Sharing how you overcame challenges shows determination and leadership. And number four, which is very, very important, is strengthening your brand identity. Story. Every great brand we have in the world today all sell their product with stories. Most of them, their adverts, they do that with stories. Tell a story. Why? I remember eBay before eBay could go global and before they launched their first IPO, they were able to tell us a story about a young a couple who were in deep relationship and one of them wanted to get a product probably from a close by store and could not get that. And the guy just came up with an idea to solve this problem. Let me create an ecosystem where you could buy and purchase anything online. And that story sells. And that was how eBay went big.
There's also the story of Airbnb we have today. And the two friends that travel, they only have money for two airbeds and
Yeah, breaker. So you see that story now. They use that story to just sell their product.
and the story gives the brand itself
It,
name.
the name, yeah, it's true. Oh, okay, think about Uber for instance now. Oh, the guy who was stranded, who couldn't easily get taxi, and then we came up with a means of creating a very control, what would I call it, and systematic ways where I could connect drivers and passengers. I saw that challenge. So, and that's it. If we can buy your story, we definitely will buy your products. So, yeah, storytelling enhances persuasion and influence. Data tells, but story sells. People may forget statistics, but they rarely forget a good story. When you wrap your pitch in a story, you appeal both to logic and emotion, making your message more convincing. Very, very true. Wrap everything you do in story. Okay, look at this example now. Instead of saying we help startup save cost by 30%, an entrepreneur could share when one small fashion startup partnered with us, they went from struggling to pay salaries to expanding into 2 new stores in just 6 months. This words is just to amplify. We help startups save costs by 30%. Wow, that was being shared, in a very interesting story. So, as an entrepreneur, you should be thinking of story, tying your innovation, tying your ideas to a story, something more relatable. For the entrepreneurial storytelling framework, I was able to craft out, 5 parts. Okay, for telling your story as an entrepreneur. The first one, the hook, to grab your attention. Start with something that draw people in, a question or a shocking fact or a personal moment. For example, 3 years ago, I was standing in a small apartment with just 10,000 naira left, wondering if my dream business was even possible. This is I'm sure I want to hear the next part, what happened. Right? Even though I didn't put the next part there, then I want to really hear the next part. So that really would draw inquisitiveness. Probably you were standing before your investors or your audience. What really happened after that? Number 2, talk about your struggle. Show the challenges. Share the obstacles, the problems or pain point you face or your customer face. Okay, this build emotional connection and make your audience lean in. For example, now I said, I realized many small business owners around me were failing, not because they lacked passion, but because they couldn't access affordable digital tools. Just follow my story. Then, the turning point, the solution and breakthrough. Show the moment of insight, decisions, or innovations that led to change. Position your product, your service, or mindset as the hero. For example, that's when I built, you know, I don't know if you could follow my story. At the end, I'll bring all the story points together. The turning point. That's when I built a simple platform that cut their marketing costs by half. Like that was really the turning point that happened from the beginning to the challenges and the problem. And this was the turning point that really happened. Number 4, now talk about the success. Paint the transformation. Share results, wins, or real example that prove your solution work. It's very, very important. It should be in your business story. Make it vivid so the audience can see the impact. That the platform I was able to design. Okay, look at the impact here. Within 6 months, one fashion startup grew from barely surviving to opening 2 new outlets. This must also, something like this should be in your story. Then finally, the call to action. Now, you now need to inspire and move people. End by showing what's possible for your audience if they act. Now, we're not trying to call them now to action. Give a clear next step to your investor, to your partner. This is when you now want to make people buy into what you're selling now. Example, that's why I believe every entrepreneur here has the power to turn struggles into growth if you embrace innovation and resilience. So, what's your story? That will be your question for the day. What's your own story about your business, about your brand, about your personality, about your professional engagement or being in the public space? What's your own story? What can you tell people to make people believe and buy into what you are selling? Because life is all about buying and selling. If you can't buy or if you must make money, you have to sell, right? So, our time is fast spent. I really want to wrap up this now. What I'd planned for a short speaking exercise, but I don't really know how this will go. Maybe in our next class. So, okay, it sounded like we're going to have another class really about
So
this. Yes,
they can do this virtually.
Virtually.
Then send before the next
Before the next class.
We criticize and give results.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I
So
already have
you have it. Okay, great. Yeah. So remember, you are telling your story because even about your story, these are things that we want to incorporate in our exercise, our group activities, and the practical application of the skills we learn. So, a key takeaway from today's class that confidence comes from practice. Great speakers use bodies, use their voice, and tell their story. Your communication is your brand. Yeah. So, finally, apply what you've learned. Keep practicing public speaking. Keep speaking. That's the only way you get better. Practice before the mirror, speak before your friends, speak before your family, and connect with us on social media. So with this, we have come to the end of today's masterclass. Yes. So because of want of time, so do we give room for questions, or do we just postpone it to our next class with the question?
There are a lot of
Yeah,
questions,
question.
but
Because of time,
let's
yeah,
push it
to the next class.
It was
To
a
the-
very interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So thank you so much, and thank you for showing up. So till our next class. So in our next class, we'll try to come early so we could accomplish a lot. No problem.